You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/CheapGeek. So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast, episode number 153.
Top 9 paranormal news and events of 2019. Number 4, Ghosts of Notre Dame.
Yeah. So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. This is our top 9 paranormal news and events of 2019.
Yes.
Number 4. So what we decided to do with this particular podcast series is to go through and sort of do these smaller podcasts, as in time, about the top 9.
Yes.
And these are top 9 paranormal events and news, newsworthy things that we noticed. In 2019, they seemed to gather some attention. So as we went through and tried to do like a little retrospective, if you will, this is what we kind of came up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like the top 9 you see on other social media stuff and online content. Yeah.
So if this is your very first time tuning into the old CreepGeeks Podcast, very much appreciate having you here. We do appreciate it.
Yeah.
We do. And we like when people listen and communicate and talk and sort of, become more active in the podcast. There's a couple different ways you could do that. We call that supporting the podcast. We have a website called CreepGeeks.com. And on that website is a contact form where if you'd like to share a story with us or if you have something that you would like to kind of say, you can certainly do that. And we also have a phone number if you'd like to call our voicemail and leave a message about maybe an experience or something you'd like to share, something like that.
That phone number is 575-208-4025.
Yeah. We have the CreepGeeks Facebook group, which you can actually kind of share things and enjoy some of the wonders of the internet with us. And we also have a CreepGeeks Facebook page where you can do the same. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a couple different ways, And also, if you listen to the podcast on your favorite podcast player, like, for example, if you have the old iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Pandora, that kind of thing, you can find our podcast there. And if you'd like, you could leave a comment or fill out like the rating thing.
Yeah.
Because that rating will help us. It actually helps podcasts grow. And that's kind of the goal, to grow.
Yeah.
To get big for 2020.
Well, when you leave a review or rank a podcast, it actually increases that podcast visibility, which allows it to reach a larger audience. And
I just realized that maybe on the Christmas gift list this year should be a new computer chairs because these things are just squeaky all of a sudden. They can't even move, man.
They've progressively gotten squeakier to the point where the only one that doesn't squeak is Pepper's.
Yes.
Yes. So...
Well, that's what you get when you don't spend like $300 on a computer chair. We bought these. I ordered these chairs. I am a cheap geek. Read the reviews. I'm like, these sound like they'll hold up. I was wrong. They are falling apart. That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll fix it. So if you hear some squeaking, that's what it is. That's my little disclaimer. It's an organic podcast. Okay, so in this particular podcast series, as we kick off our top 9 most interesting paranormal and weird news, these are in no particular order.
Yeah.
Because they're not. We just numbered them so we don't forget. So when you hear us talk about this particular event, don't by any means think that we think this should be like at the top of some list because it's not how this is ordered. So, because who are we to judge what people think to be popular?
No, these are just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
last year, or this year if you're still in 2019 when you're listening to this, Notre Dame caught on fire, right?
Yeah.
It was this big deal. Yeah, because, I mean, it was Notre Dame, man. So anyway, it caught on fire, right? And so that's terrible into itself. And you had, firemen trying to save statues and things like that because this building is, it's a historical thing, right?
Yeah.
And, well, of course, with YouTube being the way it is and other social media aspects that are out there that kind of thrive on this kind of thing and the video content that you can be, consumed whenever you want. People were looking at some of the footage of this just like huge raging fire.
Yeah.
Of the historic Notre Dame in Paris, right? The cathedral. And seeing faces in it.
Yeah. Like
pareidolia, it's when you see things that aren't there, maybe hear things that aren't there, that kind of thing. And they were seeing these demonic faces. And at one point in one video, this person had taken a still frame and circled like 13 things and said, these are all the ghosts, spirits, and demons.
Huh.
That are being released by the fire at Notre Dame.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and it's purported to be haunted, or it was purported to be haunted, that there was lots of, sort of haunting activity happening in Notre Dame.
Yes.
There's a ghost story from the 12th century, because construction actually began on Notre Dame in like 1163, and it didn't finish until 1345. That's a long construction, right? Mm-hmm. So there was like a locksmith who was hired to make all the locks for all the doors and other lockable things in the cathedral. And that was, kind of a big deal. So the poor locksmith, he's under enormous pressure, man, to get all this done. And so the legend has it that he actually asked the devil for help, and the devil agreed. And once the job was completed, right, the locksmith died a few days later, and his ghost could be seen wandering the grounds.
Oh.
Yeah. There's another story about a locksmith. Blacksmith. Basically, he had to decorate the side doors. Big job. It kind of goes like this. Huge job. Fearing failure. Contact the devil. Devil hooks him up. And then they die like right afterwards, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But according to this, though, the blacksmith was freed from his contract.
Oh.
So he cut a deal with the devil, who completed the project in exchange for the soul. When the doors were unveiled, they were stuck shut. And it says someone, probably a priest, came up with the idea of sprinkling them with holy water, which freed the doors and also freed the blacksmith from a satanic compact. And those doors are known as the cursed doors.
Oh.
Yeah. So, anyway, there is a bunch of ghost stories that come out of Notre Dame, but what really struck me about the article was, with pretty much the ghost of Notre Dame, was the fire.
Yeah.
In the video on YouTube, where you could see these demonic faces.
Where is that video? I can't find it.
Well, that's the thing. I wasn't going to say anything about it and find it later because I had it. It went away. It's weird. It's come and gone.
Yeah, because I was trying to do some research right before we started this podcast episode, and references to the demon faces seem to have kind of gone. Yeah.
But it was on YouTube, and I'm sure we'll be able to find them again. But yeah, the fire, huge raging fire, alleged demonic faces all through it, and people were freaking out saying, these are the ghosts and spirits, and, everything had been locked up. Yeah. And people talking about it, and basically how, Ghostbuster type stuff where spirits were stored there, and like Dybbuk boxes and all sorts of crazy stuff.
So the theory
but when it caught on fire,
yeah,
it was released. So, or they were released.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what made the rounds and was kind of a big deal because Notre Dame burned for a while. And honestly, I haven't followed up on it, and people were, dismayed. Like lots of rich people were helping to try to, send money to get it rebuilt. There were even more people that are like, the billionaires come out of the woodwork to help rebuild a church, but they won't save the planet, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So it kind of is what it is. I mean, it's very historic. It's from the 1200s, right? When that thing was built.
Yeah.
So that was the big deal. That was the big story, and that's what basically made our list. Because we actually talked about it in 3 different times over the year on our podcast, the CreepGeeks Podcast. over 150 episodes, over 24,000 downloads. We're working it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking to see how much had been donated so far. They don't even have like an accurate number according to this legitimate news website.
Nope.
Because it's $600 million so far.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So. But since we figured that would be a really short podcast episode and be like 10 minutes long, we had to throw some more things in there.
Yeah.
And this is something I thought would be interesting. This is the stories behind the grotesque, famous gargoyles of the Notre Dame Cathedral.
Oh.
Most of these gargoyles that you see actually serve a purpose. They kind of act like rain gutters, so when the rainwater gets channeled off the roof, it kind of comes out of the mouth of the gargoyle.
Yeah. But don't they have like another purpose? Like, I guess they mean something or they have some sort of protective nature?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how that works. Only thing I know really about gargoyles is that we have reported that it had been seen a couple times, and there was a show on television called Gargoyles. And I think the lead gargoyle, I think the show was actually called Gargoyles.
Yeah, it was.
The lead gargoyle was had the voice of William Riker from Star Trek.
It's a cartoon.
That's not his real name. I don't know what his real name is. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's late.
But the term comes from the French gargoyle, which means
it's a gargouille.
Gargouille, which means throat or gullet.
Yeah.
Since that, that makes sense because the water comes out of its
mouth.
Mouth.
It's throat mouth.
Yeah.
So anyway, they've been kind of sitting up there since the 1250s. There's all sorts of different types, and most of the Gothic cathedrals, in one way or another, have like a gargoyle on the roof, but Notre Dame has some really famous gargoyles. Yeah. And so basically, it was like a rainwater system, kind of divert the water and do all stuff, but they're pretty interesting looking. But the theory is, or the myth is that at night they go to sleep, or during the day they go to sleep, right? Because the sun turns them to stone. But at night, they can fly around and do stuff.
Oh.
And and that's again from the television show, the cartoon Gargoyles. But that was kind of the thing, right? So, I mean, some of them aren't really true gargoyles. They're just creatures that they had made up of various types of fantastical beasts. So you have like chimera, just some other ornamental type things.
The worm. And then
2-foot dragon.
Stirga.
Yeah. Which is referred to as a spitting gargoyle.
Yeah, but like chimera, that's based out of like what Greco-Roman beliefs.
Yeah, something like that.
And I think there's like entire books devoted to these gargoyles.
Yeah, you have like devil, dog, heron. There's all sorts of gargoyles that kind of sit and stand watch. But
yeah, and a lot of them reference back to like the Greco-Roman like mythological beasts.
Mythos.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought they were kind of neat, because I mean, everybody when you see Notre Dame, the gargoyles are usually there too, and I think that's what drew my attention. It also reminded me of when we talked about a news article that occurred a while ago that there was in one of the gargoyles that was on this, like, I think 14th century British or Scottish church or castle or whatever it was. One of the gargoyles looked like the xenomorph from Alien. And they were trying to figure out why. They're like, oh, look at this. And what it was is there was a problem, and these things need to be repaired periodically because they're a couple hundred years old. And the person that was doing the job or whatever was, he created that xenomorph and he put it in there and then aged it because you can't be, it can't be new, He aged it to make it look like it was just as old as everything else. So when people would see it, they go, whoa. So I don't think they ever really noticed it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the chimera is the gargoyle that's eating grapes.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, as a matter of fact, they actually have a link in the story, and this link comes from thevintagenews.com, and as everything we talk about, the links are in our show notes, and the show notes are on our website. So if you go to CreepGeeks.com when this podcast goes up, you'll be able to click and see. So, yeah, it's a 12th century abbey. It has the alien face or likeness in it. I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah. Oh, so in the early 1990s, the unknown mason working on this particular piece was inspired, aged it down, but they've kept the stone carver's identity a mystery.
Yeah, because, I probably don't want them to pay for it. Because if they didn't know, they obviously signed off on the job. And
they're like, sure, that looks like a gargoyle.
Or they didn't even see it. And they're like, what? So later on, like, what is that? Because it's a pretty cool looking xenomorph just like busting out of the side of this 12th century abbey. So, yeah, I thought it was kind of neat.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I don't know. It's weird that when we talked about this, we were pulling all sorts of links up. We're sharing them with people in the group. And now we go to try to find some of those news articles to talk about this because it was in the news.
You're talking about the demon faces that are in the fire, yeah.
Yeah, now they're gone.
Yeah, it's about the only one we found that we can kind of go back to is that somebody said that they seen it was Jesus.
Yeah.
So you can find the one with Jesus in it, but you can't find the demon faces, and the YouTube videos are hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
So it was just a strange thing because I watched the videos repeatedly, and it's like, okay, I mean, I could kind of see where something kind of looked like a demon, but at the same time, this was like, nah.
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's demons in the clouds and all this, and it's like, and that's what pareidoia is, where you see things that aren't there, or your mind sort of fills in the gaps. But it's also kind of the same thing we see on the internet when people say, hey, I took a picture, what do you see? Like, well, I don't see anything. And like, well, if you look right here in the shadow, you'll see a ghost.
And see that power of suggestion is so strong.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So, I found it. Demonic faces coming out of the smoke of Notre Dame's fire.
There you go. It'll be gone.
I know.
Put a link so you can see
it.
So, I mean, do we really think there were demons? I mean, who knows? That place has been around since 1200s, and there's supposed to be all sorts of secret chambers and all sorts of things that are locked up there.
See, and
I mean, who knows? But the cool thing was that it was not cool that it was on fire, but they were trying to rescue artifacts or antiquities, if you will.
Yeah.
And so hopefully they had a chance to kind of get them all or get as many as they could, but. There's definitely some irreplaceable things in there, but how this fire started, I think it has something to do with the construction or the reconstruction they were doing because it's they have to. It's the building's from the 1200s, man.
Yeah,
that's pretty old, so they got to kind of keep it up and sort of, I'm sure it's an ongoing thing to make sure that the building doesn't deteriorate, but that's not really worry now. Now they have to worry about rebuilding it.
So this video starts by playing the news footage that we were all watching.
Yeah.
And I think right at about 24 seconds, you see the first face, and they actually zoom in on it or, focus in on it. And it proceeds that during the rest of the footage, they'll do the same thing for it. And that first one, if it weren't for pareidoia, you just think, oh, that's a weird blobby thing. But when you make the suggestion of demonic face, you're like, oh.
Yeah. What do you see there? Well, I don't know, a demon. Oh my God, yeah, I see it now. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's kind of like when you're laying out in the field when you're a little kid, you're looking up and seeing the clouds, and you're like, what do you see? And you're like, well, I see a cloud. Well, I see a bunny rabbit. Or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we do have some links for you to take a look at to kind of see if you want to kind of look. And we do have a link to the YouTube video. I don't know how long that's going to be there. And maybe you can kind of look to see if you see the demonic faces as well. To me, it's kind of a stretch. But you know what? I don't know, man. I mean, building's been pretty old. What if there really is some kind of stuff going on there? We have a tendency to kind of like to talk about that sort of thing. So
yeah, I
don't say we just automatically believe all that, but we do have an interest in it. So it sort of swings the gate to, not going to say it's an impossibility. Because I think that the world will be way more interesting if stuff like that was in it. But, I mean, I don't know. Kind of weird. But, yeah, that's kind of weird overall. Why did it start? What was the fire from?
Yeah.
Who's the ghost? There's ghosts in Notre Dame, right? So, but, yeah, the gargoyles are pretty cool.
Huh. So the crown of thorns was salvaged from the fire.
Is it really there, though? Is it the real crown of thorns?
Trying to get the link to load.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the problem with some of these articles. It's hard to get them to actually load. But, yeah, there was a lot of antiquities.
The statues of the apostles.
Yeah.
The original crown of thorns. That's it so far. as far as things that were saved.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that that you probably don't want to. Maybe they don't want to like make public that they have. I don't know.
Oh, and a relic of Britain's crown jewels.
Really?
Yeah. Some of the firefighters, when they went back in, you know, you were mentioning it earlier, really did risk life and limb to go in there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just firefighters. I heard some bystanders tried to, and the firefighters, part of their job ended up being like, no, stay out.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, we're going to help you. And I'm sure people, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would like to think that everybody would be helpful, but at the same time, probably not so much. I wonder how many people trying to help themselves to, you know.
St. Louis' tunic, which is a relic made of linen that belonged to King Louis the...
Whatever.
Yeah. And a lot of other antiquities that were kept under wraps.
Yeah.
This is how this article ends. Gosh. So, yeah. I mean, if there's a lot of things that weren't talked about, let's just say the Ark of the Covenant or something, you know?
We all know that's in a warehouse.
I know, but...
I mean, who knows, man? But yeah, it was a pretty big fire.
Yeah.
And it's something that hopefully they'll be able to get it fixed. I mean, who knows? It took a couple 100 years to build this thing. Who knows how long it's going to take to kind of get it back where it needs to be.
Another architect and another deal with the devil.
Yeah. I mean, there was all sorts of terrible pictures, and it's like, oh, wow, you know, demon faces and birds flying around. It's all omen, like has like a sort of omen vibe to it. But,
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, that made the pretty much number 3, 4? Number 4 on our list of top 9.
Yeah.
So there's not really a whole lot you can say about that. So, but that's about where we're sitting.
Yeah.
So be sure to turn in for our next one. Number 5.
Really?
Yeah. We have 9 of these to do. And the reason why we're doing this is because, you know, it's the holidays and a lot of podcasts and things like that kind of take a break. And we decided, you know what, let's do the top 9 because everybody does that sort of Instagram top 9 where you have your top 9 pictures or whatever. And you're like, ooh, or top 9 stories or whatever you got. And so we said, well, let's do the same thing. So we went back and took a look, did some research. And the list that we have is derived from search results, you know, things that were newsworthy and been reported all over the place, not just like things that we know or local things that we know, but these were things that went out and made the news.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the fire made the news, but right at the same time when the fire is like, it wasn't that long after, it's like demon faces in the fire, and that made its own sort of news, and it was talked about. We talked about it a couple different times, and it's like, okay, that's on the list. It's just a short subject, really. I mean, it's like you can kind of take a look at the video that we have linked in our show notes, see what you see. Or if you have seen the video, if you have an idea of what you think it is, or if you actually see them, or you think that people that see these sort of things are just kind of reading into it, let us know.
Yeah.
But other than that, this is it.
Yeah.
We're done. We are done with this episode. This was episode number 153, top 9 paranormal news and events for 2019, number 4, Ghosts of Notre Dame. Yeah. So, yeah, that's all I got.
And just be sure to check the show notes. And if you'd like to talk to us, send us a message, tell us how we're doing with these mini episodes, contact@creepgeeks.com, or visit us on Facebook. Be sure to like and follow the page so you know when we come out with new episodes or when we make podcast announcements.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody. See you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.